It's no secret that gaming consoles have become more PC-like than ever. Gone are the days of ultra-custom hardware and ROM cartridges, with gaming boxes now mostly being built from components that resemble off-the-shelf parts that you'd get for a normal PC. And perhaps no console is a better example of this than the Xbox family from Microsoft, especially with their forthcoming Xbox Series X that even looks suspiciously like a PC. I mean, remember guys, this is the same company that makes Windows, and they're even pushing developers to code on the Universal Windows platform, which makes games very easy to port between PCs and Xboxes. So then why is it that it is virtually impossible to install Windows on your Xbox and just use it as a do-it-all device that can both play games and do other stuff? To answer this, we collaborated with fellow YouTuber Modern Vintage Gamer, and we'd like to thank him for his contributions. So it turns out that Microsoft has taken great pains to prevent clever gamers from doing this for reasons that range from preventing cheating in multiplayer to stopping users from running pirated games. And most of these efforts have taken the form of hardware tweaks. Although the Xbox system is x86 64 based, just like your desktop PC, a great deal of customization has taken place on top of this underlying architecture that makes it incompatible with Windows. For instance, the Xbox One's South Bridge, the chip that connects the CPU to the input-output devices like USB and networking, is a custom Microsoft design that would require specifically written drivers to work properly with Windows. And this is also true of the North Bridge, which sits on the CPU package and connects the CPU cores to memory, as well as for the system management controller, which is responsible for basic hardware functions like fan control, indicator LEDs, and making sure that temperatures stay within a normal range. On top of these driver issues, there isn't really a way to get the Windows kernel, the part of the operating system that actually communicates with the system hardware, to link up properly with Xbox components. Typically, a hardware abstraction layer in the BIOS needs to sit between the operating system kernel and the hardware, and different HALs are required for an operating system to run on different kinds of hardware. Now, since there isn't a Windows HAL for the Xbox, anyone who wants Windows to run on the Xbox would have to write one from scratch. Aside from these fundamental incompatibilities that are worse than a Scorpio dating an Aquarius, the Xbox is intentionally locked down in other ways. When you boot up your Xbox, it goes through a highly secure boot sequence, very different from a normal PC, and one that Windows wouldn't play very nicely with. The Xbox BIOS also presents another major challenge. While Windows uses a file system called NTFS, which you can learn more about right up here, the Xbox uses a custom file system called FATX, not to be confused, by the way, with XFAT, continuing Microsoft's proud tradition of using as many X's in anything Xbox related as they possibly can. So even if you were able to overcome all of these other limitations and pop in a hard drive or an SSD with Windows installed on it, it turns out that the Xbox BIOS doesn't even support NTFS or even the older Windows compatible FAT32. You would have to somehow flash a BIOS that supports these file systems, but then without writing a hardware abstraction layer for it, there isn't much point to doing it anyway. So bottom line, if you really want to live out your console as a PC fantasies, just plop an actual PC on your TV stand and connect a controller to it. Or you could learn how to use Linux and install that on your Xbox. Unsurprisingly, it turns out that is just way easier and more compatible and, more open. Effective learning is active, not passive, and learning from lectures and videos just isn't as good as diving in and doing things yourself. And that is why Brilliant created their problem-solving website and app that gives you a hands-on approach with over 60 interactive courses in math, science, and computer science. With Brilliant, you get to master concepts by solving fun, challenging problems yourself, and it can be really useful if you're in a STEM course. Their courses have storytelling, code writing, interactive challenges, and problems to solve, and their search engines course is super cool. You ever wonder how Google can answer your question in just a fraction of a second, even though there are billions of websites for it to search through? Well, check it out, because the first 200 people who head to brilliant.org/techquickie are going to get 20% off their annual premium subscription. So thanks for watching, guys. Like, dislike, check out our other videos. Make sure you go subscribe to Modern Vintage Gamer. Massive shout out for helping us out with this topic and doing some fact checking for us. And as always, don't forget to subscribe to us as well, because, that's good too.